Bonjour. Again, something very different to what I would normally post. I'll just move this box out of the way, I'm going to trip over it like an arsehole. My late grandfather used to collect these. These are aircraft recognition models. They're not airfix kits, they're not toys, they weren't generally available to the public. They are rare. They were intended for military use. Because back in the day, obviously, in the heyday of radar could tell you where something was and roughly how big it was, but it couldn't identify it like they can today. They didn't have the fancy tricks they have now. So aircrew, the Royal Observer Corps, the RAF, presumably other countries did similar things. They had these models so that people could identify themselves with the aircraft silhouettes, various angles and things like that, so they could identify them by eye, by sight. As I say, these generally weren't available to the public. Well, they weren't available to the public. My granddad was fairly well connected in the aviation world. He was the vice chairman of Newark Air Museum. He was on the Lincolnshire's Lancaster Association, which stopped the Lancaster, the one that you see flying around over England. That was originally going to go to Canada or somewhere else anyway, or the States. And the Lancaster Association stopped that, and they arranged for it to be maintained and flown around over England. So that's a fairly big deal, I think. But anyway, these models, I'll get the embarrassment out of the way first. I don't know what this is. I should do. The only thing I can think of, it's definitely not a Sunderland, because the Sunderland had 4 engines. So somebody tell me what it is so I can punch myself for being an idiot. Bakelite model, flying boat. Very nice one, actually. He had another one of these, I remember. It was mounted on a stand. I don't know whether he did it or somebody else did it, but it was the same as this. Very nice model, so somebody tell me what it is and relieve me of my ignorance. Some of them are in fairly poor condition because they're old. This, I think that's a Bristol Beaufort. Some kind of early plastic. It's not Bakelite. Bakelite doesn't do this with age. It's crinkled and shrunk and done various bad things, and half of its tail's missing. But it's still original. Lancaster, fairly obviously. The main body of it is Bakelite, but the tail is presumably made of the same plastic that is, because it's done the same thing. It's blistered and shrunk and gone weird, but the rest of it's pretty tidy. Quite heavy, actually. B29, wooden. This one, that one, these ones came out of this box, which is the one which housed the ones which were in fairly poor condition. I mean, the engine is coming off this one. It's wooden, this one is. It's not in too bad shape, actually. Just the paint sort of peeling off it and stuff. What's this? I should know. Hastings, Handley Page Hastings. Again, wooden. Yeah, you saw that. The tail's sort of just balanced on there. You could probably glue them together, although I'm not sure if I should, because they are original as they are. But I don't know. Something to think about anyway. What else have we got? Supermarine Swift. A bit grubby, but otherwise in decent condition. Oh, that appears to be Bakelite. I thought that was wood. It's Bakelite, but it's been painted, which would explain why it's not gone funny. Early British jet. Supermarine obviously made the Spitfire, which is probably far more famous. This is something a bit special. The Vulcan B1, Avro Vulcan B1. Now the Vulcan B1, which was the original one, which I think was 1952, it had a pure delta wing, as opposed to the kind of broken double delta, which is more, which is far more famous these days. So that's the Vulcan B1. They were originally painted white, I remember. Well, I don't remember because I wasn't alive back then, but they were painted white to sort of reflect the flash of a nuclear explosion to some degree. But yeah, you're probably not going to find many of those around. Wooden, big substantial thing, in good condition, but the tail, you can see the tail's gone a bit crooked. Probably the wood was a little bit damp when it was made, so it's warped a little bit. Yeah, nice thing. Where were we? Another V bomber. Unfortunately, again, in fairly poor condition. The tail's just balanced on there. That's the Vickers Valiant. This was the one that didn't sort of succeed. A few of them were made, but then it was just dropped in favour of the Vulcan and the Victor. I've not got a Victor, unfortunately. Wooden again. Where are we? Right, let me just move around a little bit. Hawker Hunter, wood, fairly decent condition that one is. Yeah, it's like somebody was sanding it down or something underneath. But yeah, nice. Russian Bear, Cold War bomber, which they used to mince around near America and try and be all scary and then get shooed off. This is obviously something American. Tip tanks. I'm not sure why tip tanks were ever fashionable. And surely that's just going to add weight to the end of the wings and decrease your roll rate. But anyway, it does say actually. F89 Scorpion. There we go. Nice model. I think that's a Beaufort, wooden, fairly decent nick. Paint's coming away a little bit. No, Blenheim. I'm not quite as au fait with old aircraft as I used to be. Oh God. German, twin boom. So, what is that? Focke-Wulf 189, I think. Swordfish. Oh, I can't reach. Wooden. Yeah, swordfish. Nice condition actually, that one. That's a Boeing Stratocruiser, isn't it? Got developed from a bomber, I would imagine, and was a civilian transport, probably quite a large civilian transport. What's that say? Yeah, Stratocruiser. Nice condition. I think that's about it. Have I forgotten anything? Oh, I don't know what this is. It looks Russian. If anybody knows what it is, feel free to tell me. It doesn't say. Some kind of Cold War-ish bomber, or just after. So yeah, that's your lot. Hope you enjoyed the vid.